Thank you so much for inviting us. It's really a privilege and a pleasure and an honor, certainly for both of us, to be able to be here with all of you. And today we're going to be speaking about fearless leadership. Maybe Henry would like to say a few words before we start.
And what we're going to explore in the next couple of hours is your personal relationship with fear and what it does to you as an individual, how that translates into how you interact with your staff and the people around you, and ultimately, since you're responsible for the direction of your company, how your relationship with fear ultimately determines the direction of the company. So one of the key things to understand here is, what is fear? What does it do and where does it go?
Yeah, and I think I just want to sort of introduce that in the context of what NeuroBusiness Group does. NeuroBusiness Group is actually a group of some of the leading coaches in the world, and Georgia Kartsanis is within that group. And this particular group of people are actually focused on social intelligence variables. And I'm sure all of you, being CEOs, know what it's like to talk about things like social intelligence when you have important money matters at hand. But one of the things that we've recognized is that when we talk about social intelligence, we're really talking about variables like trust and empathy and authenticity and alignment. And fearless leadership is also one of those ideas that comes under the idea of social intelligence. So Neuro Coaching Center is actually the combination or partnership of Henry and I, and what we're doing is sort of taking this particular subject of brain science and bringing it into businesses, and we've done this in a number of different contexts. So the topic for today is fearless leadership, moving from playing not to lose to playing to win. And I'd like you to notice that the way in which we've written this title is that we've emphasized and increased the font size of playing to win.
Fear is a way that we relate to the future that determines how we participate. Because ultimately, for your business to work and for you to actually function, you got to participate. One of the debilitating things that fear does, or the causes of fear, or the effects of fear, is it causes people to stop participating.
Participation is really about what is your process. And that's what's so scary about it.
So what we're going to do here is I want you to think about the word fearless up there. The English language is really cool. If you wrote down the word fearless, it does not say that fearlessness is not having fear. It's fearless. Having less fear. Having less of the influence or the power of fear taking us and determining how we participate. And here's a powerful thing. That the way to overcome fear, or the opposite of fear, is not having no fear. It's having courage. It's the willingness to participate, to act, in spite of fear.
Burnout is not just, I can't go to work anymore, and I'm sitting in bed and I feel completely fatigued and exhausted. It's actually a 7-stage process at least. And there are different models, varying from 4 to 7, but each one of those has been tested in a different stage. And roughly speaking, all of those criteria go from earlier to later. So what this shows us is that not many people are in the later stages of burnout. A lot of people are in the middle stages of burnout, and a few of the people are in the earlier stages of burnout. And the reason, one of the things that we do at NeuroBusiness Group, and with the 90-day programs, we actually have a coaching program where we target what's happening in burnout, because people tend to think of burnout only when they're completely burnt out. But by the time you get to the later stages of burnout, it's much more difficult to reverse that.
Let me put it this way. You're halfway there, at least a lot of you.
So for the CEO, one of the questions is, how do I use my thinking to interact with feeling? How do I use the outer brain to interact with the inner brain? Because a lot of times it's very hard to get access to the inner brain. So the brain-based mechanism, so part of what we do is, if you hired a coach and the coach said, I'm trained in how to manage fear, and the coach said, well, these are the things you can do. Part of what you ask yourself is there a systematic methodology that even if I was coaching myself, where if I have a problem and I can't solve it, is there some way that I can look at this issue in a systematic way? And in your handouts, what you'll find is, when I said that fear, the amygdala, connects with the thinking brain, there are different parts of the thinking brain. And so if you know what each part does, you can target each part in the thinking brain, so you can stabilize that, because research shows that if you stabilize that, you do actually stabilize the amygdala.
One of the challenges when we get into a playing not to lose is we become reactive. And it happens unconsciously, how fast we go into a reactive mode. And one of the things I do, obviously I do a lot of public speaking and I do a lot of coaching with executives. I think to myself before I go into any meeting that I go into, I ask myself the following question: what experience am I committed to generate? This is real basic. What experience am I committed to generate in this room? As opposed to, I wonder what's going on in the room, I wonder what people need, I wonder what solution can I come up with or what idea, because then in that type of, that train of thinking, the environment determines my response as opposed to my own commitment. So if I ask myself, well, what is it that I'm committed to generate, even as in many CEOs, working with them about starting every meeting, declaring the vision. Just declaring the vision of the company. Another way to say this, and this is with that we do in coaching in the 90-day program that we designed, we start off always with the question: if you lived on purpose and with discipline, what would you be able to achieve in 90 days? If you lived on purpose and with discipline, what would you be able to achieve within 90 days? It creates a future context that requires you to participate into the present in a different way.